Hey Deborah, first of all, I just want to say nice to meet you and thank you so much for your question. I just want to quickly address your question though, because you asked about the ark that they found in Turkey. Now I know a lot of Christian evangelists and apologists would love to say that this ark that they found in Turkey was the Ark of Noah, and of course that is evidence of the Bible's literal history. Now first I just want to make a logical argument here, and then I'll show you some, literary evidence. So first, the logical argument goes as follows. There literally is no boat in the world that's ever been built or found that could maintain and hold the number of animals that the Bible describes in the book of Genesis. If you also incorporate all the food, the feces, and manpower required to take care of that many animals. Currently, zoos who have even a fraction of that number of animals are forced to employ hundreds of people to maintain and care for all these animals. And the ark only had 8, which would have made it definitely impossible for 8 people to maintain, take care of, clean feces, and feed all the animals of all the world for that many days. Next, we have the problem of returning the animals back to where they came from and them arriving at the ark in the first place. You see, there's major oceanographic and waterways that prevent animals from arriving at the ark. So certainly it would have been a miracle of God to get all the animals from the polar regions to the ark in the first place. And I'm not sure if the temperature and climate of the ark during its transition through the flood would have even been able to properly maintain the appropriate climate for all those animals. Then also, once the ark comes to its resting place in Mount Ararat, as the Bible describes at least, you have to ask the question, how did all these animals return to their ecosystems and climate and habitats from which they came? How did the polar bears and penguins and these type of animals get back to the polar regions once they stepped off the ark in Mount Ararat? How did they walk their way across the ocean back to where they belong? Not to mention there was only 2 of each species, well, depending on which account and what type of gender we're talking about, that would have been making this trek back to their original climate and habitat. And so the chances of 2 of them actually arriving is very, very slim, since they wouldn't have the food sources they need to survive, since there's no animals on the entire earth. Last, I just want to say that even if you go off of the logical and rational arguments, and there's many, many more that I could make against the flood of Noah, you have to look at the historicity of the story itself. You see, the flood account of Noah is predated by other pre-existent flood accounts, most specifically the Epic of Gilgamesh, which has been stored and held in 12 stone tablets even to this day. And the Bible actually, you can tell, amalgamated these stories, many different stories about the flood, into one. And that's why you see in Genesis 2 different numbers that are associated with the flood. One of them says that the flood was on the water, the flood waters were over the earth for 150 days. The other account in Genesis says it was only 40 days. So